Today I'm in the kitchen making an old-fashioned vanilla cake. This beautifully flavored cake is rich and moist. A classic special company cake with a ruby red raspberry filling inside and my very favorite vanilla cake glaze to drip and drizzle on top. Ditch that boxed cake mix. This cake is quick, easy, and beginner friendly. Plus, the flavors can't be beat. I'm Rebecca and welcome to the kitchen. This is how I make a vintage vanilla cake. I'm going to start by adding my dry ingredients to a large bowl. Add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2½ teaspoons of baking powder, and a ½ teaspoon of salt. Mix this together. Mixing the dry ingredients separately will ensure all of the ingredients are evenly distributed before going into the batter. Now, either to the bowl of a stand mixer or to a large bowl using beaters, add 3/4 cup of room temperature butter. I'm going to whip the butter for a few seconds first. This is going to add air and lightness to my butter before I even add my sugar. Now that my butter is soft and creamy, I'm going to add 1½ cups of white sugar. Whip the butter and sugar together until it looks light and airy. The butter and sugar mixture should change from a light yellow to a light white. Creaming the butter and sugar together helps incorporate air and texture. It will also start to dissolve the white sugar into the butter. Next, I'm going to add in 3 eggs. I'm going to crack each egg into a little bowl first. I always do this just in case there's anything wrong with the egg or if I drop in any shells. This way I don't ruin the batter I've made so far. One at a time, drop the eggs into the bowl and beat after each addition. Make sure to scrape down the sides of the bowl as you go. Mix in 2 teaspoons of vanilla until you have a smooth liquid batter. Now it's time to mix in the dry ingredients. Add in half of the dry ingredients that we mixed earlier and stir this into the batter. I'm going to alternate by mixing in a ½ cup of milk. Alternating the wet and dry ingredients helps to ensure that all of the ingredients are mixed in evenly and all of the milk is absorbed into the mixture, with no chunks of flour floating around in the batter. Finally, I can mix in the last half of the dry ingredients. Mix until you have a smooth, thick batter. Make sure to scrape down the sides of the bowl as you go to ensure everything will be incorporated evenly. I'm going to use a fluted cake pan or bundt pan to bake my cake. You can use metal or silicone, or whatever cake pan you have on hand. Just make sure if the pan is small to split the batter in half so nothing runs over while it's baking and rising in the oven. Lightly grease and flour the insides of the cake pan and then evenly spread in the batter. You can give it a few little bangs on the counter to make sure the batter spreads around evenly. Bake in a preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius oven for 45 to 50 minutes, or until it is golden on top and springs back when you lightly press down on the cake. You can also insert a skewer into the center to see if it comes out clean. If there's no batter on the skewer, then you know the cake is cooked all the way through. While I'm waiting for the cake to cool, I'm going to get started on the vanilla glaze. This is super simple to make, but is rich in flavor and happens to be the perfect accompaniment for this old-fashioned cake. To a bowl, add 1 cup of icing sugar, 1 tablespoon of butter, and 1 tablespoon of hot water. The water doesn't have to be boiling, just hot enough to melt the butter so it can easily be incorporated into the mixture. Add in 1 teaspoon of real vanilla. You could also scrape and add the seeds from half a vanilla bean pod if you really want that rich vanilla flavor. Finally, mix in a pinch of salt. This will balance out the sweetness of the sugar and draw out the flavor in the vanilla. When the cake is cool, you can run a knife all along the inside of the pan to make sure nothing is stuck. Or if you have a silicone mold like me, gently pull the mold away from the sides all along the outside of the pan to release the cake from the sides of the mold. Tip the cake out and cut it into layers. I'm just going to do one layer for mine, but you can make whatever fits your cake. I'm gently cutting through the cake with a bread knife, making sure to hold the cake as I go for extra support so it doesn't tear. Now I can spread on my filling. I'm going to be using raspberry jelly for mine, but feel free to use whatever you like. Adding some fruit preserves gives the cake a real vintage charm. Once the preserves are generously spread onto the cake, stack the layers back together and gently pour over the vanilla glaze. The glaze should coat the top of the cake and just slip down the sides, encasing it in a shiny, sugary shell. And now your cake's ready to slice and serve. Enjoy!